Member from Prince Edward Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be sharing my time with my colleague, the honourable member from Barrie.
Here, here.
First of all, let me acknowledge for a moment what an honour it is to be here at Queen's Park, and thank the people in Prince Edward Hastings who put their faith in me to be their representative and their voice in the Ontario Legislature, and I can assure you that I've already begun to make my voice known.
Great voice.
I'd like to thank our former representative, Leona Dombrowski, who spent 12 years working to try and make Ontario a better place. I wish the former Minister of Agriculture, Environment and Education all the best in the next phase of her life. It took a tireless effort by many people, but I couldn't have made it here without the love, support and dedication of my beautiful wife of 12 years, Tanya. She's a high school teacher at Moira Secondary School in Belleville, where, by the way, the junior football team, the Moira Trojans, just won the National Capital Bowl for the first time in the school's history. And with that win, I won a jug of maple syrup from Leeds Grenville from our colleague Steve Clark, whose school from Brockville unfortunately came out on the losing end of that game. I'd like to congratulate the coach of that team too, Todd Crawford. He's from that famous Crawford sporting family from Belleville. And congrats to the entire East End Belleville School on their historic season. Tanya and my two little girls, Peyton and Reagan, they're the shining lights of my life. Anybody who knows me knows that. As many of you know, it takes a family effort and a community effort to win a seat here in the Legislative Assembly. My wife was there with me on many occasions during the campaign over the summer months, and my two little girls saw every single summer fair and festival that you can imagine, from Maynooth to Milford and all points in between, and it cost me a lot of money in rides with the Carney shows because the kids were there. They're 8 and 11 years old. And you can imagine the votes that Tanya won me with her beautiful smile. So there you go. Before I talk a little bit more about my family and how they inspired me to seek this office, I'd like to thank the members of my community who worked extremely hard to help get me here. My campaign manager is Frank Hendry, and he is at the top of my list. He worked tirelessly on my campaign, and he worked tirelessly on many other campaigns over the years. I know that this victory was probably his most satisfying because we knocked off a 12-year veteran of the legislature and a 3-time cabinet minister, and that's no small feat. In fact, an incumbent member has never lost in the riding of Prince Edward Hastings, so we broke ground, that's for sure. I'd also like to thank my co-manager, David Joyce, who's been a friend for many years, dating back to the old Belleville waterfront festivals of the past. They were a great time in the 1990s. Paul Kite and his wife Jennifer have been tremendous supporters, and Ken and Janet Harnden have been incredible volunteers and friends. I'm happy to have their youngest daughter, Ashley, now working with me at my constituency office as an assistant in Belleville. It's amazing how a campaign can bring people together and become friends as well. A gentleman who recently moved from Monty McNaughton's riding into Belleville was happy to join my campaign. His name is Murray Angus. He played a very important, vital role in my campaign in getting me elected. I appreciate his efforts. Mitch Heimpel, who I didn't know until March of this year, he worked like a dog over the summer months on my campaign, and he's now working like a dog for me here at Queen's Park, and he's working like a dog up in my office right now, pumping out a press release, I'm sure. Jack Alexander, Mona Tuman-Lyon, Daniela Barsati, Jack Alexander, Amy Doyle, Heather Smith, C.J. Miller, Twyla Adams. They pounded the pavement in Belleville with me. Bill Goodman, Gail Fox, Henry Garand, Ian Hanna, Allison Walker, Jerry Mayer, Jerry Mathis. They minded the Prince Edward County store during the election and hit the streets there. In the north, Gary Kelly, Kim Bishop, Tracy McGibbon, the royal family of Bancroft, Lloyd and Muriel Churchill. They helped me out as well. There's a lot of people that I could name, and I only have 10 minutes, so I will skip the rest, but I appreciate their efforts, and of course all my sponsors and donors as well. I had the support of a few former members as well of this House. A couple of them were able to join me here on November 4th. Former Quinte MPP Doug Rowlands, former member for Hastings Peterborough, Harry Danford. They were active members in my campaign, and Gary Fox, who's a former member from Prince Edward Lennox South Hastings, was there for advice whenever I needed it as well. So I thank them, and I know a couple of them were extremely pleased to come down here for my swearing-in ceremony and meet up with some old friends like the clerk, Deb Deller. I'd like to thank the Member of Parliament in Prince Edward Hastings, Darryl Cramp, and his wife Carol Ann and their family for their guidance and friendship as well. And I congratulate all the members in this 40th Parliament for their successful elections as well. I've called Prince Edward Hastings home for about 20 years now. It's one of the most diverse ridings in the province, from Prince Edward County and its beautiful sand-covered beaches, its growing wine industry and thriving arts community, to historic Belleville with its 1800s vintage City Hall, the nationally recognized Quinte Ballet School, and of course the Belleville Bulls of the Ontario Hockey League. We've got the rolling farmland and the cheese factories of Hastings County and the rocky shorelines and pristine lakes in North Hastings. As a proud Maritimer, I can tell you that Prince Edward Hastings riding is actually bigger than Prince Edward Island, where I spent many a winter playing junior hockey. The weather's better in Prince Edward Hastings than it is in Prince Edward Island. When I moved to Ontario from Riverview, New Brunswick back in the early 90s, I did so not to escape the Maritimes. I love the Maritimes. It's a great place to live. But I came to Ontario to pursue a broadcasting career because Ontario was the land of opportunity. This is where the jobs were. And I had dreams of one day being on TSN, not the Ontario Legislative Channel. But I'm happy to be here now, that's for sure. I enrolled at Loyalist College, a great school. It was one of the top media schools in all of Canada and still is to this day. I was there for a few months at Loyalist College when I got a job at Quinte Broadcasting, owned and operated by the Morton family for more than 65 years now. I've spent 18 years there, most recently as the news director at that radio station, the three of them. The late Miles and his wife Elizabeth Morton and their children Bill, Virginia, Steve and Cynthia provided me the opportunity to grow as a broadcaster and as a community leader as well, and a community volunteer for 16 years up until this summer. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning every day to go in and read the morning news. And then I would work all day long, and then I would usually call the Belleville Bulls hockey games at night on TV as well. So I will work hard for the residents of Prince Edward Hastings, because I have for the last 16 years. I also became involved in numerous charities like Operation Red Nose. It was great this week, I guess it was last week now, that Rick Watt was here from Operation Red Nose Quinte. They drove over 1,600 people home during the holiday season last year, both those partiers and their vehicles during the Christmas season, so it was great to see Rick here. I volunteered on that now for many years. My parents, Ray and Sharon, they still live in New Brunswick, and although they were a bit skeptical of my decision to jump into politics, they watch a lot of Fox News. They were proud to be here in this building earlier this month for my swearing-in ceremony, and I know they'd be proud to be here today as well. The excitement on their faces when the polls and the ballots were being counted on October 6th at the historic Belleville Club in downtown Belleville was a night that I will never forget. It was great to have my sisters Cheryl and Pam there as well, Cheryl from Nashville and my sister Pam from New Brunswick. During the election, I heard often about the need for change in the province, especially in rural Ontario, where the wishes of many residents were being ignored. The Green Energy Act stripped municipalities of their decision-making powers and nullified the voice of our rural communities. Unless we're successful in stopping it this week with my private member's bill, there's the chance that the South Shore of Prince Edward County will soon have an industrial wind factory on its South Shore. The community has made it very clear it wants no part of this, but it's being forced upon it by a government that won't listen. Residents that have built their dream homes in Thurlow and throughout the riding are seeing solar panel farms constructed on land that was once a beautiful forest or a meadow without any say in the process. Madam Speaker, given that the member for London West managed to work me into his comments this morning during question period, I feel the need to perhaps pay him a similar tribute this afternoon. Madam Speaker, the member for London West likes to go on about all the jobs that this fairy tale energy policy is creating. It would simply be nice if the member for London West would get his facts straight. It was 60,000 jobs created last week, 50,000 on Monday, and today it was 20,000.
How about no jobs?
How about zero?
How about job losses? That's really what the fact is. If you read...
Madam Speaker, it's not surprising the government has made the member for London West their representative when they speak for an industry that aims to generate a lot of hot air. I just presented a petition earlier today on behalf of some residents of London West, and I came here happily to be the spokesperson for the people of Prince Edward Hastings. I didn't know I was going to have to be the spokesperson for the people of London West as well, but I'm happy to do so and present a petition on their behalf. Over my career as a broadcast journalist, I had the opportunity to spend time with a number of politicians at various levels of government and different political affiliations. I intend to be a politician who listens to his constituents and act on their behalf. A week ago, we sat in the House and listened to a speech from the throne that contained little vision and didn't address the needs of the residents I've spoken with in Prince Edward Hastings. The government doesn't seem to realize what has just occurred in the previous election. This government, despite being seriously reduced in size, made few, if any, impactful statements in its throne speech. In fact, Dalton McGuinty's speech made little or no mention of the job crisis facing our province.
Shameful.
I have much more to say, and hopefully many days and years to say it. I will sit down for now. Thank you.
Excellent speech.
Thank you.